I would like to invite one of the most cerebral poets around us, a poet, a writer, and a wonderful patriot that loves Nigeria and weaves his poetry around the development of the country. So without much ado, I'll welcome Dike Chukwumerije. He will set the tone and then we'll constitute the panel.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dike Chukwumerije, and I am a poet. And my assignment this afternoon is to introduce, or perhaps reintroduce you all Nigerians to our true national heritage. So I'm a poet, so please let me say it as a poet would. Once upon a time, to be exact, on the 17th of December 1944, the world was engulfed in the Second Great War. And on that day, the 17th of December 1944, the men of the 2nd Nigerian Regiment, as part of the 82nd West African Division, were marching through the jungles of Burma, Southeast Asia. On that day, the 17th of December 1944, the Nigerians marched into a village and there walked into an ambush where they came under heavy and deadly Japanese fire. But on that day, the 17th of December 1944, the Nigerians did not retreat. Instead, from that day, the 17th, up until the 21st of December 1944, the Nigerians dug in and held their ground. For 5 days, they dug in and held their ground. And in those 5 days, they chested heavy losses. They withstood heavy bombardment. They endured the sights of their comrades being killed all around them. But for those 5 days, the Nigerians dug in and held their ground until they overcame and pushed the Japanese out of that village. They would go on to push the Japanese out of the entire Kalapanzin Valley, out of the entire Arakan, out of the entire country of Burma, thereby contributing significantly to the victory of the Allied forces in the Second World War. And the name of that village where 80 Nigerian soldiers were killed in action. The name of that village where for 5 days the Nigerian dug in and held his ground. The name of that village where the Nigerian soldier exhibited exceptional courage under fire. The name of that village in Burma was Dodan. That is why today in Lagos, there is a famous military barracks called Dodan. It is in memory of the blood, of the sacrifice, of the courage of our men. That is the meaning of that red eagle that sits on top of our coat of arms. It means blood. It means no retreat, no surrender. It means strength in the face of unimaginable adversity, the type of strength that Stella Adadevoh showed when she placed herself between this nation and a deadly pandemic. When she placed herself in the face of mortal danger, when she refused to be intimidated by power and insisted on doing her job with dignity, with professionalism, with integrity that day in July 2015 when she saved us all from Ebola. That woman from Corona School, Yaba, from Queen's School, Ibadan, from the University of Lagos, that woman whose name will never die, Stella Adadevoh, she too gave her life so that this nation, our nation, could be spared its own. For the blood that flowed through her veins was the blood of Herbert Macaulay, of a man who in 1923 took a step of faith and formed a political party. At a time when the rulers of this country, the British, laughed at the idea of any West African nation at all. The Governor General of Nigeria in 1923, Sir Hugh Clifford, said it would take another 800 years before the diverse and primitive people of Nigeria would ever be able to stand together, to fight together, to call together for one sovereign nation. In the face of that cynicism, in the face of that hostility, Herbert Macaulay, the wizard of Kirsten Hall, formed a political party and dared to call it the Nigerian National Democratic Party. That party would go on to give birth to the Lagos Youth Movement, which would go on to give birth to the Nigerian Youth Movement, which would go on to give birth to the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, which would go on to give birth to the independence movement, so that within 40 years of Sir Hugh Clifford's mockery, an independent nation, the largest black one this world had ever seen, stood here in West Africa, stood here in Nigeria. That is the power of faith. We are products of faith. That is why our motto is unity and faith. Because without faith, nothing, nation, peace, progress, nothing is possible without faith. We are children of faith. That is why even when they threw his mother out of the window, Fela kept singing. That is why even when they rigged him out of election after election, Aminu Kano kept running. That is why even when they were 3 goals down against the mighty Brazil, JJ Okocha, Kanu Wanko, Sunday Olise, that dream team kept playing. That is why even when he stumbled and fell in those Olympic qualifiers and his opponent stamped on his face and broke his nose, Dike Chukwumerije got up and kept fighting. Because that is who we are. We are a resilient people, Odeshi. That is why our national flower is the Costus spectabilis, the yellow trumpet. A flower that looks so pretty, that looks so dainty, that looks so fragile, and yet it sits there in the rugged dust of the earth, and there it flowers all year round, no matter the weather, no matter the season. That is how we are. We may look so pretty, we may look so dainty in our expensive suits and dresses, but do not be deceived. There are no ajebos here, no gentleman for Jongo. I tell you, under that shining gilly, behind that beautiful kaftan, is a willingness to fry akara, to carry block, to hustle rich ground, if that is what it takes to feed our children, to build our homes, to light up our communities with laughter and faith, if that is what it takes to blow. That is who we are. A people who always find a way to succeed. Ask any African, they'll tell you, if you arrive anywhere on this earth and fail to find a Nigerian, turn around and leave, for there's nothing there for you as an African. Because if there's any water at all in the ground, the Nigerian will find it. If there is any way at all to make money in an economy, the Nigerian will make it. That is who we are. A people who always find a way through, just like the river we are named after, the River Niger, that begins its life in Guinea, then shocks everybody by turning around and flowing away from the sea, by flowing north instead, all the way to the Sahara Desert, where it shocks everybody again by making a U-turn to flow through Niger and Benin before flowing into that same sea in the Niger Delta. That is how we are, like the River Niger. We too, we do not like to walk in straight lines. Yes. We are an unconventional people. We will always shock you. We are an unorthodox people. We will never fit into any of the stereotypical labels the world likes to create for Africans. If you say we are all corrupt, we'll show you Father Tansi. We'll show you Saadu Zungu. We'll show you Usman Danfodio. We'll show you Gani Fawemi and the courage to fight for justice even in the face of tyranny and inducement. If you say the African is incapable of original thought, we'll show you Cyprian Ekwensi. We'll show you Bruce Onabrakmaya. We'll show you Mabel Shegun. We'll show you Abubakar Imam. We'll show you Ladi Kwali and that generation of Nigerians who invented Nollywood and created Afrobeat. If you say that the black person is naturally cowardly and subservient, we'll show you the lioness, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti. We'll show you Gambo Sawaba. We'll show you Nana Asmao. We'll show you Ikonia, Mugo, Wannedia, and those warrior women of Aba, Uyo, Opobo, who jacked colonialism by its collar and upturned it in a riot. That is who we are. For as it is in the compound of any great warrior, So is it here in Nigeria. We have them all, the tall and the short, the ugly and the beautiful, the lectitious and the horrible, the beautiful and the daft, the noble and the despicable, as it is in the compound of any truly great warrior. So is it here. For that is what it means, this capacity to gather a mixed multitude under one flag. That is what it means to be great. So do not judge us by the conduct of our contemporary politicians. Many of them long ago stopped being representative of our true national ideals. Many of them, like many of us, have forgotten what that eagle means. We have forgotten what those two shining horses on either side of that broad black shield means. We have forgotten the meaning of the green, white, green. We have forgotten the meaning of those lyrics that once ruled our airwave, of that song that a generation of Nigerians grew up listening to. We have forgotten this song. Me, I love my country. I like the land and people. Everything needed for Nigeria. Make we join hands to make Nigeria greater. Once upon a time, that song was our way of saying what John F. Kennedy said. Nigerian, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. For ultimately, when all is said and done, it is not a great country that produces great people. No, it is great people that produce a great country. To know this, to live this, to practice this every day through ups and downs, to dig in and never give up on the Nigerian dream. This is what it will take to restore our national pride. My people, I salute you now.